Welcome back to Just Another Black Conservative. In this video, we have this guy who has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, TDS in the flesh. This is Brian Shapiro, who gets destroyed by Tim Pool as he tries to attack Trump on several fronts. We'll see how he is swiftly and handily dismantled.
Hours of the morning, around 1 a.m., a U-Haul vehicle being driven by an unknown individual tried to reverse at high speed into law enforcement in Alameda, California, who were aiming weapons at the vehicle, seemingly expecting a threat. This was at an anti-ICE protest outside of the Coast Guard base, Coast Guard Island in Alameda, where federal agents were being housed for a potential upcoming ICE action in the Bay Area. However, Trump had called this off after an intervention from big tech CEOs and other political elements, we'll put it like that. So we don't know the real reason why he called it off, but he did. After this protest began to die down, we saw this moment. It appears to be a terror attack. Perhaps you can call it low scale. We don't know if this person was truly intending to run over this group of law enforcement, but they certainly reversed at high speed. 2 people were shot, the driver and a bystander. We don't know if the bystander was involved in the protest, but this is just another story in a long line of extreme actions that we have seen.
Let me ask you a question. Drop it down in the comments if you think that these people that are committing these actions on ICE agents should be swiftly arrested and no questions asked. I don't know why we don't. I don't know why there hasn't been swift arrests and handcuffs placed on these people that are attacking our ICE agents. I know that we have a lot of judges, that are activist judges that are coming up the works, but to me, it's a direct violation of federal officers being hindered from doing their federal jobs, which, in essence, I think, in the essence of the law, is a crime. But I'm not a lawyer. Let's let it continue.
Over the past several months with several terror attacks on ICE facilities, shootings, or otherwise, which I believe has resulted in many federal agents being completely on edge. We now have bounties being put on the heads of DHS officers in Chicago from Latin King gang members as well as other gangs, and a fear that this will only continue to escalate. In the meantime, Democrats are saying that ICE agents have been detaining U.S. citizens in these raids, and that federal law enforcement and, worse still, National Guard being deployed into their cities is tyranny. And many prominent liberals saying, you've got to stand up now, push back on Trump. He's trying to be a king. And they march saying, no kings. So we're going to debate this, talk a bit about what's currently going on and the scale of escalation and whether or not Donald Trump is truly a king. We'll be having this debate. We are being joined by several individuals. Good sir, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Brian Shapiro, do a show called Pushing the Limits. I am an independent that is extremely anti-Donald Trump. We probably disagree on a
He's not independent. I don't know why he keeps saying he's independent. But it's a falsehood. This is Brian Shapiro himself. Let's let him roll.
A lot of politics today, Tim, but I appreciate you inviting me on the program, and it's good to be here.
Absolutely. We also have Tate, who's hanging out. Oh, your mic's not on.
My mic's
You're
on.
being censored.
I'm being censored by the deep state already for my pro-Trump beliefs. This is unbelievable. Tate Brown here, holding it down. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a fun panel.
I'm Austin Paget, the third pro-Trump panelist today. I co-host a show called History 102.
But you're a libertarian, right?
Yes, super libertarian.
This was the challenge, and that's why I was also like, we have the seat open, and I told Tate, I was like, maybe you should just sit in. We'll get more of a conversation. But it certainly does feel like a pile on for Brian.
No, I don't mind.
I figured you'd be all right with it.
No, I'm good.
But we intentionally said, let's get a libertarian, and he's still pro-Trump.
You'd have 100 MAGAs here, and I wouldn't care.
I was like, I'm a fairly moderate. I'm pro-Trump. Tate is, I guess, conservative, Christian, pro-Trump. Yeah. And then I said, we should get a libertarian because that's sort of in between, but it's still just everyone's pro-Trump.
It's okay. I'm all right.
I can still say something that annoys people from all sides.
You got to try and get closer to...
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to pull the chair in or something.
But I'm not a liberal, though, to be fair.
No.
I did not vote for Barack Obama. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm just I dislike Donald Trump. I think the only person in this country that hates Trump more than I do, maybe Melania. I don't know. But I am extremely anti-Donald Trump for a lot of different reasons.
Well, let's start with this story that we just saw. I'll line it up a little bit. So we just had this protest over the weekend. No kings. One of the most effective protests we have seen in the history of the United States. As following the protest, there are no kings. So congratulations to the protesters. They've succeeded. We don't have any kings. But the actual claim there is that Donald Trump is a tyrant. He is trying to be a king. He wants to be a dictator. And all of these things. However, at the same time, we are seeing a string of an escalation of political violence, terror attacks, from the Tesla attacks to the ICE facility attacks. And now liberals are claiming, or I should say the left, the anti-ICE, that these actions from federal law enforcement officers in blue cities is tyrannical. And so I don't know if someone wants to maybe you want to kick it off, what your stance is.
Well, first of all, here are my issues with this. Number one, you have a lot of agents across the country that are not identifying themselves as agents. Outside of courtrooms, tackling people, outside of Home Depot, that's against the law. You have to identify yourself. Something needs to say that you're ICE. You can't just go somewhere and tackle somebody and not say you're law enforcement. So that's a big issue, number one. Number two, most of the people, more than 50% of the people that are being detained by ICE and or deported are nonviolent criminals. We were told by the Trump administration that they were going to focus on very violent criminals.
First of all, Trump said, and actually it was the Borders are who said that he was going to go after the criminals that are in our country from that are not supposed to be here, the illegal migrants, immigrants, aliens that were criminals. But if he were to walk into a house where there is an illegal alien that is a criminal and around him happen to be other illegal aliens, they are all going. Blatantly said that several times. I don't know why liberals, leftists, Democrats, progressives act like he didn't say it.
Criminals.
Well,
That's just not the case.
that's a non sequitur.
Well, but you're asking me what my issues are with this, and I'm just going through the list of.
So I'll push back on that one because whether or not they want to prioritize versus who they're actually deporting it's a non sequitur. I don't understand why. Trump said he was going to deport everybody. He is. It appears they are targeting criminals, and they are largely also in this process getting general criminal aliens.
So are you comfortable, Tim, with people that have never committed a violent crime or a felony being sent to El Salvador type prisons?
They're not all
going to El Salvador. Are you comfortable with that? Not all of them. I never said that, but some of them are. Are you comfortable?
That's a bit of a straw man.
Well, I'm just asking you if you're comfortable with that.
Am I comfortable in the circumstance where a criminal illegal alien who entered this country, and we don't know to which number, so I guess I could say there's certainly going to be errors in any and all law enforcement. Kamala Harris famously, I'm not saying you support her, but she famously had people kept in prison beyond their release dates, using them as slave labor and things like that. Actually, that's a bad example. I just don't like Kamala Harris. But mistakes happen in law enforcement. We want to mitigate them. They shouldn't happen. U.S. citizens being detained for 24 hours in New York shouldn't happen. But the question is of malice. So if, I don't know, to what degree are we going to accept nonviolent illegal immigrants being sent to what is it called? CICOT? What is it called? CICOT. There you go. In El Salvador, and it's no nonviolent individuals should not. Then there's another layer to the question, and that is, what if the country will not accept them back? Where do we send them? Now it's getting really muddy and messy, because if we don't have extradition treaties or treaties in general for handing deportations of foreign nationals, well, they don't just get to stay here. So I'm not suggesting they should go to CICOT, but now we've got Kilmar going to, I guess, Uganda.
Actually, that's my point too. If a country doesn't want the person back, where do we send them? We can only send them to countries that agree to take them. And if there's a country, Uganda, and the person is from El Salvador, and they agree to take them, then I think you should ship them there. They should not be in our country. So any other country that would take them, send them there.
Or whatever, Uganda.
Well, listen, I think 99% of the country would agree that if you're a violent criminal in this country illegally, you should be deported. I'm one of those people. I think there needs to be some sort of pathway to citizenship for people that are nonviolent criminals that have lived in this country for decades, some of whom do pay taxes. I think there's a better way to do it than the way that
I say this all the time when it comes to this issue. If you have been in this country for 20 years, living, working, having children, whatever the case may be, why haven't you tried to get citizenship? Why haven't you tried to learn English? I don't understand it. Like if you ever go into a house of people that have been here for years, and I don't mean just Latin. I also mean Russian. I also mean Asian. When you go into the household, the kids speak English, but the parents don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand why you don't try to get naturalized, to become a naturalized citizen in the country. Besides the fact that I guess it costs money and the time to go to the courthouse, but if you want to be here, you should really want to be here. By the way, this would be a great time to like and also subscribe to my channel, and it helps it grow.
Trump administration is doing it. I want border security. I'm not one of those people that thinks that the border should be wide open. Okay,
How many times are we going to do amnesty though? This is like the fourth, right?
I understand that, but I also don't like it when Dr. Phil is there with a microphone making it a spectacle. I feel like there's glee in this. Obama deported a lot of people as well, but I don't think they enjoyed it. I feel like, and this is my personal opinion, that those in the Trump administration and Donald Trump are making it a spectacle. Like they're liking the fact that families are being separated. I think that's immoral.
Well, that's like an emotional reaction. That's not a fact-based.
Well, but
I can't debate how you feel about what Trump is doing.
You think it's emotional? Dr. Phil has said, "Hey, come on down here with Tom Homan and let's interview these people that have handcuffs on them."
You got a problem with Dr. Phil?
I have a problem with making it into a reality show. This is not a
Agreed.
reality show. This is real life.
Agreed. Dr. Phil, you knock it off.
I'm not a Dr. Phil fan anyway, Tim. But listen, I just think you're asking me my thoughts on this whole situation, and I don't like the way Trump is going about it. Why is it that he wants white people from South Africa in this country with open arms, but he doesn't want black people from South Africa in this country? Why is that, Tim?
When did he say that?
Well, look at what he did. 10 South Africans.
The reason why he brought in white South Africans is because they're being killed by unalived by the black South Africans in that country. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's like since the black government took over in South Africa, it's been a violent place to be if you are not black. And you know what? People will say, well, on the flip side, that for a long time, that the black folks in South Africa were held down. So now it's kind of an eye for an eye situation. I don't believe in that. I think that there has to be some grace given to those and some forgiveness given, because you cannot live in the past. If you live in the past, you'll never go forward. That's why South Africa right now is a crap place to be.
Africans were
10 people?
I think this was like 3 months ago, welcoming them with open arms with their families, but they all happen to be white. I find that very convenient.
Because there are white people being killed in South Africa.
Yeah, but why is it that he doesn't do the same for people of color? Let's welcome you with open arms.
Because the black people in South Africa are the majority and are the ones chanting "kill the Boer."
The government there is a black nationalist government.
You don't find that okay?
You can say it's racial, but it's clearly also very politically aligned. Like the politics of the South African grievance politics and the communism versus the European descendant South Africans who are more free market and more in favor of property rights. So there's an obvious political overlap here.
And there was a white guy, just an illegal immigrant, he was a police officer, and they deported him. So it's like I don't think it lends itself to the argument when it's 10 South Africans or one white guy being deported.
Well, I think it comes down to compassion if we're talking about this situation. And there are people in Trump's administration, and I know this goes into the healthcare situation, but there are people that do not believe if you're an undocumented immigrant and you're dropped off at an ER and you need life-saving care, that you should not get that life-saving care, that we should be asking for your paperwork. That is not the country, Tim, that I want to live in. That is no compassion.
What? This is what leftists, liberals, progressives always do. They try to appeal to your feelings, your emotions. This is not a feelings or emotions situation to me. This is, you're in the country illegally. You need to go home. That's it. There's no question about it. I don't know why there's even an argument about this. Um, it, I don't know.
I'm not saying undocumented immigrants should be getting free health care. And by the way, they don't qualify for Obama's subsidies anyway. But if somebody is dying and they're undocumented, okay, they should be able to get the care that they need in a hospital. And I'm okay paying for that.
I mean,
We're all human beings.
That argument works if Biden didn't let in, on the low end, 10 million illegal immigrants.
Well, you could use the term let in. I'm not going to sit here and defend Biden when it comes to all the undocumented immigrants that came into this country. Clearly, he didn't do a good job.
There's a math question, right? So, you know, the famous saying, you must secure your own mask before securing the mask of the person sitting next to you. And that's a great analogy because when the pressure drops, if you're too busy trying to help someone else, you pass out and then no one gets help.
Let me flat out ask you, Tim, if somebody is undocumented in this country, I'm not even talking about a violent criminal, somebody who's in this country, undocumented immigrant, they're having a heart attack. Do you believe that if they're dropped off at an ER, that those doctors should not be asking them for their paperwork, that they should try to save their life first?
First and foremost, doctors should just render aid to anybody who's ailing. You
Okay.
it's like,
I agree, but there's some people that don't agree with you.
but it's not about an illegal immigrant. If like Tate had a heart attack, God forbid, at such a young
Got a
age.
lot of Arby's, so I mean.
I know. Okay, doctors.
So you eat like Trump, then? That's what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Meat doesn't give you heart attacks anymore. It's not the
I
90s.
believe in life force.
But-
I
but
think the Big Mac does something.
The issue
for
isn't
you.
illegal immigrants. The issue is literally anybody suffering. If a doctor said, "Well, hold on there, gosh darn minute, let me see some paperwork," that means citizens are going to be denied emergency health care.
Well, here's the deal.
Like you'll die before the doctor can treat you if they're worried about your paperwork.
I don't want to live in a country where somebody is dying and they ask for their paperwork first. Tim, I don't want to live in a country like that.
Because, like I said, it's it's not even a question of illegal immigrants. It's a question of literally anybody going to the hospital being stopped and before they're rendered aid. It's like he's a citizen. He's good. No, we don't have time for that.
Exactly, I agree
Doctors
with
shouldn't-
you.
So, but the bigger question is
People in the Trump administration do not agree with you.
Well,
on that.
that's a bit of an extreme example, though, because in emergency circumstances, however, the argument of should illegal immigrants generally get medical treatment from our facilities at the taxpayer expense?
In the emergency room, I say yes.
In the case of absolute emergencies, indeed. What if someone shows up to the emergency room and they're like, something's wrong with my...
However, the illegal immigrants are using the emergency room as their healthcare center because they know that if they go in there, they're going to be treated. It's not like it's an emergency situation. They could have a cough. They could have the flu. They could have, for whatever reason, they go there because they know that they're going to be cared for. Secondly, when he says that the subsidies for illegal immigrants is not, from the Obamacare is not being given to illegal immigrants and Medicaid's not being given to them, the truth of the matter is, like, for instance, in California put a lot of illegals on their California healthcare, which happens to also be subsidized by some government funding. So it's kind of disingenuous to the way that they argue this point.
hand, it hurts.
Well, that's a different circumstance. Obviously, I'm not talking about, if
You
somebody
said
has-
you said in the emergency
it's
room.
life-saving care.
I was just
That's
in-
not life-saving care.
So this is the issue. Most of the people in the emergency room are not getting life-saving care.
Well,
So
in
in
those
the event someone's having a heart attack or bleeding out, they were shot, whatever, no one's going to stop, and no one should. They should just treat the person. But you go to the emergency room, what do you see? People are all sitting in chairs waiting because So I went to the emergency room in August because I had my throat swole up so bad I thought I was gonna choke out and die. Went there, and I was like, my throat's killing me, and they're like, have a seat.
Tim, we live in one of the richest countries in the
Oh,
world.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but. They demanded my papers when I went to the emergency room. In fact, I watched them demand everyone's papers. Hold on, I just went to the emergency room, and when I walked in, every single person who walked up to the counter and said, "Here's my problem," they said, "Papers, please." They said, "I need your ID. Do you have insurance?" And everybody provided their identification.
And even
That's
if it's
normal.
an emergency, can't you check the ID or paperwork on the back end after the operation?
Like that, you bring them in to
After
do the
the-
life-saving
But
care.
here's
But
what
then-
I don't understand, Tim, about your argument. You don't want these ERs to be crowded. In the big and beautiful bill, which
I
I
didn't say
would,
that.
well, it sounded to me like, you want Americans to get care. You don't want people to have to wait. You don't want people in there that maybe have a
didn't say
hand
anything.
pain. Well, okay. Well, maybe I'm misinterpreting
So I
what you
said one of the arguments is that emergency room care, medical care in general, shouldn't be at the cost of
Well,
taxpayer.
let's kill that argument right now. Look at the big and beautiful bill. 15 to 20 million people are going to lose their Medicaid coverage. When people lose their Medicaid coverage, they get sick. When people get sick, they go to the ER. When people go to the ER, those rooms get full. I don't understand.
That's a lie. People are not losing their Medicaid service. What they said was illegal um, migrants cannot get Medicaid. And then the second thing that they did was they said if you're an able-bodied person, you need to work at least 20 hours to get your Medicaid. That everybody else is going to get their Medicaid as usual. I don't know why leftists, liberals, progressives say this. Well, they don't. You know why it is, and I realized this a long time ago. Actually, I realized this when Obamacare came out. Is that people do not read the bills. They don't read the bills. They come out and they say the talking points of whatever talking head said about it, and they say, well, this is what the bill says, and they never take the time to read the bill. A matter of fact, senators and the House of Representatives, the people that are supposed to read these bills, do not read them. You know why they don't read them? They have other people write them, and then the bill comes up and it's like specifically Obamacare, a 5,000-page bill, or it was, I don't know, maybe even larger than that, and no one read it. No one read it. I don't know if anybody remembers this. Nancy Pelosi admitted she didn't read it. She said, what was her famous quote? I don't even remember her famous quote. Something like, I don't even know what's in it, or something like that, which none of them do. And neither does the regular person on the street. They don't know because they don't sit down and read the bills. So anyway, let's go.
These people?
I'm talking about Americans right now that are going to lose their Medicaid coverage.
Yeah, like the demographic is older.
They're older rich people. One of the ways they saved money on the Medicare fraud was they looked through and looked how many millionaires were collecting benefits. And, and how much fraud. There was a ton of fraud and a ton of millionaires.
Yeah, and the Democrats want to give illegal immigrants health care.
That's not necessarily true, but I would say
it's necessarily true because Democrats changed the definition of what an illegal immigrant is, and now the ACA benefits will be extended to anybody who says the word asylum.
Well, 30% of people that are working right now are not offered medical benefits. Okay, those are not lazy people, as many in the Trump administration would say.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about.
Well, it has to do with medical coverage and the fact that the guy who you support, Donald Trump, is in this big and beautiful bill. 20 million people are going to lose their medical coverage. Those are not undocumented immigrants, and those are not all millionaires either. Many of those people
they are giving illegal immigrants health care.
No, well,
they're trying to.
Okay, they're trying to doesn't mean they are.
Democrats are trying to. Yes.
Subjective, but okay, but 30% of the workforce, people that are working in this country, American citizens, are not offered health care benefits. 49% of them can't afford it. And
as far as health care goes, I think Rand Paul had a great idea. And I don't know why it hasn't caught on by the American people, because I think most of the time American people aren't paying attention. But Rand Paul says the way you do this health care thing is you would allow regular people to join pools together, and it forms a bigger group that can negotiate better with the insurance companies. So for instance, Amazon. So let's say Amazon opened a portal and said that everybody who uses Amazon can get insurance. So all the people that do, I don't know, there's billions of people that are on Amazon. If all those people pooled together and decided that they were going to be a group that was going for insurance, it would be just like a large corporation getting benefits for their employees. I don't know why the American people don't agree with this, because let's say you had all the users that use Amazon or even use Google or even use YouTube or whatever were given the ability to be able to pool together across state lines to get insurance. It would be a massive fix for our medical system, because the premiums would be so low because there'd be so many people in the pool. This only makes sense. I don't know why the American people have not jumped on this as a plan, and I don't know why the liberals, progressives, I don't know why the Republicans, conservatives haven't been preaching this, because this would be a game changer.
People in the Trump administration and people on the right want to make the argument, these are just lazy people that are on the couch that don't want to work. It's not true.
That's a straw man.
I don't think it's a straw man at all.
I talked to the guys
you can't argue.
Who made this policy. I talked to the guys in the HHS who identified the people who were either fraudulent benefits or very rich people. Like, there was a huge, obviously a ton of people are collecting benefits who shouldn't be or don't necessarily need them. And 15 to 20 million is you could probably pull more than that without affecting
the point about people who don't get benefits or can't afford it it's like there's no reality where you go up to a Democrat or a Republican and say, do you want to take a working class Americans or a poor person's health care? No one's going to say yes.
Okay,
That's
well,
just, like not of any.
let me ask you a
maybe
question.
libertarian.
We could talk about how to make
For real.
healthcare.
so out of those 15 to 20
cheaper.
million people that are going to be losing their Medicaid coverage if the big and beautiful bill,
Was it based on what he said that they were ripping off the system?
there's always going to be a small percentage. I hate this argument.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be a small percentage of people that are going to take advantage of the system. We could
Right.
be talking about welfare. We could be talking about unemployment benefits. But many of these government benefits or maternity leave, Republicans hate it. They want to get rid of it. They want to abolish it. And I'm sorry, I disagree with that. There's always going to be a small percentage of people that are going to take advantage of the system. That doesn't mean the majority of the people should have to suffer for it. That's exactly, Tim.
Who's the majority that are suffering?
People that are living paycheck to paycheck that are working. The 30% of the people that are working right now that are not offered health care benefits.
That's
The
not a
49.
majority.
That small
not a
small
majority.
percent you can still
It's
target.
not a majority,
Get
but
rid
it's
of
still
the
it's a
fraud.
lot of people.
Hold on. You said a majority of people suffering, then cited a minority. It seems like
It's a lot of people, Tim.
no one said it wasn't.
Yeah.
The point is you're saying things that are consistently just not. It's a non sequitur over and over and over again. It's like Donald Trump sending these troops, and now the sky is cloudy. And I'm like, okay, those things aren't related to each other.
We're talking about the emergency. I'll tell you why they are. We're talking about the emergency room, people that need care. I'm telling you that millions and millions of Americans are going to be losing their health care coverage.
Specifically, how? Let's break it down.
Specifically how?
Like
I just told you.
What you didn't?
30% of people that are working are not offered health care.
That is not the same thing. Again, non sequitur, bro. Stop. Okay. 30% of people not being offered by their job health care is not the same as Trump passing a bill will take health care away from people.
So who is it? Who is he taking away Medicaid from?
I'm asking you that.
I'm answering it.
Who?
We start off with 49% of the people that are working, that are offered health care, that can't afford it. Those are people that are struggling. You can look up those stats if you don't
Okay,
believe
let's try this again. You're saying currently, right now,
Yeah.
30% of people are not offered health care.
that work. Yes.
That sucks.
It's
okay.
terrible, yeah.
Now, Trump's trying to pass a bill. You're saying that bill will take health care away from people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so these are two separate things. People.
No, the 30% of people are on Medicaid right now. Many of those people are on Medicaid.
So-
Is that
okay.
a status quo thing? Like,
well, so I'm
How are they not related? I don't know.
So that's what I'm asking you. Who are the people in this bill that are going to lose their health care?
It's a wide range of people. The reason why I brought up the 30% is those are some of the people that are going to be losing
All right,
their
so two
Medicaid.
different things.
Okay, but you're asking me who's going to be losing their health care coverage.
Obviously, Brian Shapiro has no idea what he is talking about. he every time he gets pushed on these issues, you can tell that he is not very versed in the arguments or in the position that he's taking. And this, I think, if you watched the debate between him and Andrew Wilson, and also between Rob Noor, this is what they were saying. They were saying to him that you need to understand what you're arguing before you argue it, because you sound like an idiot.
Coverage. Yes, there's going to be a percentage of people that are lazy. Yes, there's going to be a small
I didn't say any of that.
I'm saying that. There's going to
Okay.
be a small percentage of people that maybe are taking advantage of the system. There's also going to be a lot of Americans in this country that are working 2 or 3 jobs that can't afford their health care.
So let's slow down. Okay.
I would
So
say it's not
what-
as small of a percent as you think, and 15 to 20 million people easily fits in that range of
fraudulent benefits.
fraudulent benefits. And
Well, so what is
Very
the
rich
bill
people.
doing that will take away Medicare or Medicaid from these people?
They are cutting medical benefits and Medicaid from people that they believe do not deserve it. However, many of the people that are working are going to be losing their Medicaid coverage. You could look up the bill and you could look up the literature in the bill, and it specifically doesn't say, well, if you're working, we're not going to take your medical coverage away. They can say that on
Is
Fox
that what it
News.
is? You have to be working in order to receive benefits or something?
I think if they were taking away all this medical spending, then I would hear libertarians being happy about it, but they're just complaining. So
Yeah, like Massey, for instance, said that the Republican version of the bill is basically advancing the Biden era spending. It's going to stay basically where it is, and Democrats are asking for more.
Well,
Maybe this is wrong.
My understanding is that Democrats want it to be what it was before the big and beautiful bill came into play. That's my understanding. I don't believe this is a Chuck Schumer government shutdown.
What the Democrats wanted was there were subsidies added onto Medicaid, or I'm sorry, to the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, during COVID. These subsidies were put in to help people during COVID to be able to continue their health care coverage at a lower rate. This was supposed to expire by the end of this year. And this was an expiration date that was put on by the Democrats. It was basically basically the government needed to be funded, but it was going to be funded for that same amount. And then the big beautiful bill was cutting the subsidies out, or actually not cutting the subsidies out. The subsidies were going to sunset regardless. So the Democrats were trying to push to get these subsidies to be extended again from COVID, and also to allow illegal immigrants to get health care.
I do not believe that.
My understanding, so like the core of this debate over the government shutdown and the spending bill is that Democrats want to extend the ACA benefits to refugees, asylum seekers, and DACA recipients.
That's part of it, sure.
Republicans said absolutely not, because those are illegal immigrants.
Well, when you talk about asylum seekers, I think that's some gray area. But what Democrats want to put in place or to keep in place before the big and beautiful bill is being implemented. That's my basic understanding.
It's like Big Beautiful Bill number 2, because they did have the other one. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look, I don't agree with the right blaming Chuck Schumer, calling it the Schumer shutdown. I understand the votes that they need. I understand how many Democrat votes they need. I get that. But the last government shutdown we had, last I remember, is back in 2019. We didn't have one under the Joe Biden administration. I could also tell you that this is not, they're putting it all on Chuck Schumer, the right, MAGA. They're putting it all on Chuck Schumer. This is all his fault.
He's the leader.
Yeah, I understand that, but who's in charge of the House? Who's in charge of the Senate right now?
Should they vote to get rid of the filibuster? I think so. I think just crush the filibuster, and then Democrats have no argument. I actually agree with Democrats on this one. They're blaming the Republicans for the shutdown, and the Republicans are countering, saying, well, it's because we need at least 60 votes for cloture. And I'm just like, or you get rid of the filibuster, and then you make sure Democrats never win another election.
I mean, are Republicans working hard? How many weeks were they on vacation? How many times did Mike Johnson say stay on vacation? Yeah, exactly.
That's the August.
Why can't they sit down and negotiate?
Recess.
Why is Hakeem Jeffries lying when he says Mike Johnson has not called him up to sit down and try to talk and negotiate? Is Hakeem Jeffries lying?
What's the negotiation? Like,
that's the Republicans' responsibility. They have the House and the Senate. It's their job to try to negotiate with Democrats. It's their responsibility.
This is a 2-to-tango situation, and
so why won't they sit down, Tim?
Because they don't need to.
They don't need to?
Indeed.
Look at all the people that aren't getting paid right now.
And Democrats could be like, fine, well, we won't give health care to illegal immigrants, and we'll give you the 5 votes.
You don't think that in Washington, D.C. right now, people don't need to negotiate and sit down and come to terms and get somewhere in the middle?
Well, this is how government shutdowns.
You're right. They could just abolish the filibuster and reopen government.
Okay, I understand that, but you're saying that you don't think that that Mike Johnson should be reaching out to Democrats when Democrats are reaching out to him and say, okay, listen, we might not get anywhere, but let's at least try.
Well, there's multiple factors here. First, I would say I already agreed. Republicans could shut this down in 2 seconds by ending the filibuster and the nuclear option. And everyone says, but Democrats will get back in power. Oh, yeah, fucking right. If Democrats get back in power, it's the least of their worries that they might ram stuff through the Senate. So maybe they should just, in the Senate, say, okay, filibuster's gone, government's open. The other issue is Republicans want the government shut down. And I don't care too much about the government shutdown. They want the government shut down because it's giving them pretext to start firing tons of people, which is exactly what Trump wanted to do.
You don't care about brave men and women in uniform not getting paid?
They're getting paid.
They got paid.
Okay, but for a little while they weren't getting paid. You don't care about.
No, they never missed a paycheck.
People at the airport, TSA agents, and people all over the country that are not getting their paychecks. You don't care about that?
Yeah, no, I don't.
There's been shutdowns.
What's your argument? What's your argument? Hold on. What's your argument?
What's my argument?
You're a bootlicking fascist who likes government authority and federal agents?
Absolutely not.
Fire them all.
No, I'm actually a human being, and I feel like when people wake up and they go to work, they probably should get paid for it, Tim.
Well, you can quit.
Well, you can quit?
Yeah, see, I'm on the very...
Yeah, you could quit and go get a job in the public sector if you wanted to. Yeah, I kind of agree with Tim on that issue. But also, the federal government is... I don't know. The last time there was that shutdown, I remember when Obama, the shutdown during Obama, and Obama was like totally petty when he closed down the national parks. He was like, "You gonna give me a government shutdown? I'm closing the national parks." Try to get into Yosemite
libertarian spectrum of I don't think government should be as bloated as big as it is. And I actually voted for Trump because he said he was going to fire tons of people. So I'm fine with doing it slowly. But if Democrats are like, we want to give ACA benefits to non-citizens, so we won't reopen the government, and then Trump is like, I'm going to fire people.
Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit, Tim, for a moment. Hold on a second. Families and fathers and mothers that are working in all different types of different positions in government jobs.
Here he is trying to appeal to your emotion again, make you feel all squeamish about your decisions. No. Sometimes you have to say no.
Yeah.
They rely on that paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not getting a paycheck because of a government shutdown, regardless of whether you blame the right or the left.
Should drop their illegal immigrants.
And your response to them would be, I don't care, quit your job.
Well, one of the responses I could say is stop relying on big daddy government to take care of you. My first statement is I'm sorry the Democrats did this to you. Okay, maybe if they didn't want to give ACA benefits to illegal immigrants, the government would be open. Now, Republicans could, as I already mentioned, end the filibuster right now and reopen government, but they don't want to because Trump wants to fire a ton of people. So I'm sitting back being like, well, it's what is it called? The Xanatos Gambit. I was reading about this the other day, where no matter the outcome, your side benefits. Trump's attitude is if Democrats want to give illegal immigrants health care under ACA and keep the government shut down, they won't give us the 5. I think they need, 6 votes?
6, I believe, yeah.
6 votes. And he's like, okay, then the government's shut down. Fine. I'm going to start firing people. Okay. Win-win.
All right.
Well, it's also important who's being fired, right? Because we can talk about police officers, civil servants, et cetera, which is the majority of government workers. But the people that he's really targeting are the 500,000 federal bureaucrats, and they're getting huge payout packages, which is fine. We could pay them 4 times their salaries to quit, and it would still be worth it because they're the ones that are managing the economy without accountability and destroying innovation and costing us.
Exactly. All the unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. that make decisions on your life. And you cannot get rid of them. You, for the longest time, you could not get rid. Actually, you could not. People didn't want to fire them. Remember, I don't know if you ever remember, but that people used to always say, if you never want to get fired, get a government job. And there's some truth to that. It's so hard. It was so hard to get rid of a government employee that until Trump came into office, I'm telling you, until Trump came into office and he said, no, this is not right. We need to be able to fire these non-elected bureaucrats. And I totally agree with him on that case. But you know, they also have activist judges. Have you ever noticed whenever he tries to fire someone, they try to step in and tell him, oh, you can't fire that person. Oh, you can't fire that person. That's supposed to be an independent agency. What are you doing? Hands off. No, I'm the executive. I am in charge of the executive branch. So any agency that is under my purview, I can fire the people.
Unimaginable amount of.
It's just wild to be like. So I'll step back and give you my assessment. The TSA is bad. I've met a lot of TSA agents when I travel, and they're fans, and I respect that. But the agency itself, I think, is a bad expansion of government, and we complained about it when it happened. But the problem is, the government creates something, and then liberals defend it, or independents, or whatever your argument is, right? So amnesty. We get amnesty in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, and once again, it's always gonna be amnesty. At a certain point, you got to be like, guys, we're not doing it a 4th time. It's not going to happen. No amnesty. Everybody's got to go. You're a criminal alien. You got to get out. And then the same thing with government agents and government shutdowns. It's like we've expanded the executive branch. We've expanded federal authority. We've expanded federal law enforcement over and over and over again. And instead of being like, maybe at some point we need to stop and say we're spending too much and expanding government too much, we get the liberal side, which is, no, just this time we need amnesty. Whatever it may be, pay all of them now. Defending the TSA, the liberals were angry about the TSA when H.W. Bush was creating all this stuff.
Yeah, it's the only time I've ever been sexually abused multiple times. Which is actually a problem.
And I understand this because I've long talked about the problems in a post-capitalist society where, you know, I met a homeless guy a long time ago in Chicago, old black guy, and I had some pizza left over from a restaurant. I asked him if he wanted it, if he was hungry. He said he was. I said, here you go, brother. And then I was like, can I ask you a question? Just curious how you ended up homeless. And he said, well, I'll give you the simple version. He worked at the post office for 20 some odd years, never really a high ranking guy or anything. Eventually, they said they were going to be shutting down. You know, his post office was going under restructuring or whatever. And so he didn't have a backup plan. He couldn't afford a retirement. So the first thing he does, he starts collecting some benefits. But then it's not enough to pay his rent and pay for food. He chooses between buying food or paying rent. He chooses buying food. Then he's late on rent. He pays what he can. Eventually he gets evicted, and that's it. And he said, man, let me tell you, he's like, my friends are dead. My family's long dead. I don't got anybody else, and eventually got nowhere to go. And I said, well, that's messed up. This guy didn't do anything wrong. How does he end up in a situation like this? I can respect the individual in these circumstances, but we also have to understand that we are building a system that is growing and growing and growing. And I'll put it like this, because I've experienced this as a business owner. When we try to look at costs, why are we spending so much money? You know what we find? There is never one thing you're spending too much money on. And so we're like, what are we doing over here with this skateboard stuff? Are we spending too much? Like, God, honestly, we're not really spending that much money at all. Okay, well then what about some of these shows over here? Really? It's a couple of grand. And I'm like, it's a snowflake and an avalanche. No one is ever going to be happy when you have to do the cuts, because it's going to affect so many individuals, and an individual's worth is substantially more important than the amount of money you take by cutting the program. But when you are cutting down costs, sometimes you have no choice, and individuals are going to get negatively
So let's be
impacted.
fiscally.
This is what business owners understand and what government workers do not understand. And also those that don't run companies that don't understand is the fact that there's a bottom line, and there's always a bottom line, and there's always a point in which the company needs to cut when jobs are no longer no longer valuable to the owner of the business. I mean, this is business 101, and every business and every position in a business has a value, and that's how they determine the pay for that position. Simple.
Responsible by gold plating the White House. Is that fiscally
Who's paying for it?
No, I'm not talking about the ballroom. I'm talking about gold plating the Oval Office.
And who's paying for it?
Yeah, well,
I
if
think
you want to
that's
talk
gonna
about being
be-
fiscally responsible, the guy who you support got us $8.2 trillion in debt his first go.
Well, that's
come on,
that's
bro.
when
We're not
we
gonna
get
talk
into the
about
other
one
side of this
president's debt.
equation, which is the growth, right? This is the whole growth thing, because this is what libertarians complain about all the time: is that Trump's not cutting spending. Spending is largely determined by Congress, which makes it challenging anyways. But if you can cut the cost of medicine in half through deregulation or most favored nation negotiation, then you cut 13% of the federal budget.
1,500% drug prices. Yeah, he's definitely doing a great job there. Can I just go to the drugstore right now and get a $5,000 check? How do you support a guy that talks like that?
I think one of my issues is just that we've built a society that continually expects things from others. You know, it's like I consider myself to be in favor of what I call universal basic health care. Meaning actually assessing the situation. We have seen circumstances where like a kid got the flu and died. And you're like, well, how does it happen in the 21st century? I mean, come on, it shouldn't happen. Or someone has a broken bone and doesn't heal properly. I'm like, these are simple things that, it's not expensive to fix.
We should have access to that. I agree.
However, the left isn't arguing for that. They're arguing for general universal health care, which would include cancer treatments and extremely rare. And I'll give you a specific example of where the limits are met. There was a kid who had a genetic disorder for which there is a treatment. The treatment is extremely rare and hard to produce and costs about $1 million. This, I believe, was in Georgia. And the family argued that the state should pay the $1 million to give the kid his gene therapy to cure this disease. And the state argued, we cannot do this for literally everyone. And if you were to win this argument in court, how will the state fund $1 million gene therapy for everyone suffering from this illness? So that's why universal health care is not possible.
I want to ask you a question, though. You support Donald Trump, obviously, and I'm curious, what is Donald Trump's health care plan? For 9 years, we've heard a replacement plan is coming to Obamacare. We've heard the bitching and complaining. Yeah. I mean, where is the replacement plan? He's had 9 years. Is that a serious policy person?
Oh, it's fantastic. Obamacare is great. I'm happy.
They've fired, 30% of the
I'm going to tell you what the plan is. Rand Paul's plan. And that's the allowing people to negotiate health insurance across the states, and allowing regular people, to pool together to form insurance pools. I think that is probably the most effective way to lower premiums and lower health care costs. Because think about it. Any working person making, I guess from $10 an hour all the way up to $100, $200 an hour, whatever it is an hour, can put into a pool together. Do you realize how big of a pool you can make to negotiate with the insurance companies? It would be like corporations that negotiate healthcare for their employees on steroids.
All this stuff that we're going through with healthcare and
Tim, that wasn't my question. I'm not asking you what your opinions are on Obamacare. What I'm asking you for is what is Donald Trump's replacement plan? Where is it?
His plan is to deregulate.
who cares?
What do you mean? Who cares?
You don't like
guys have
Obamacare?
The question isn't about Obamacare.
Do you like Obamacare? Yes or no?
I think it could make some improvements.
But generally good?
I think it's okay. Average.
Okay, so then why would I want a replacement plan?
Because Donald Trump is the guy who you support has been bitching about it for 9 years.
So fucking what?
So fucking what? When somebody complains about something and you're the president of the United States and you call yourself a policymaker,
Actually,
you're supposed to come up with a replacement plan.
One of the reasons I support Trump is that
He doesn't have one.
That's why I support him, actually. That's why I support him.
So you support a guy because for 9 years he complains about a policy, and in 9 years the imbecile doesn't come up with a replacement plan,
Man,
and that's why you support him?
smoked about this.
Well, you're saying you don't care.
You're acting like I want to replace Obamacare.
It's not about you. It's about the guy who you support.
You just said you support a guy who's complained but done nothing. I'm like, that's why I support him.
He lied. He said, I'm going to come up with a replacement plan in 2 weeks. It'll come up in 2 weeks. It'll come up in 2 months. You don't care?
No. I like Obamacare. It's great.
So Trump could just lie about anything and you don't care. He could lie about the 2020
That's a
election.
straw
You don't
man.
care. You don't think that's important for the president of the United
Straw
States
man.
who complains about
I actually don't like Obamacare, but my point is,
Yeah.
Whether Donald Trump replaces or doesn't replace it, the healthcare system is broken, and it's not Trump's fault that it's broken.
So come up with a replacement plan.
He's focusing
Maybe
on
he
the
can't. Maybe
things
it's
that
hard.
would actually fix the health.
Then don't say you're gonna. Then don't say you're gonna come up with one.
He's
But
trying
if you
to, and it's
tinker
difficult.
around
9 years?
insurance,
Yes.
Trying to.
you're not going
Obama
to solve
didn't do
the
it.
problem.
9 years.
If you just tinker around insurance, you're not going to solve the problem. You need to go at the regulation, the farmer control of the industry, the AMA monopoly on standards, the licensing restrictions. And there's many countries where it's not even legal to take stem cells here,
Right?
And it's very,
is
very
ridiculous.
cheap.
No, if
you're
they're
looking
yours,
at just
it
the
is.
tech,
George W. Bush.
If they're your stem cells, it is.
I don't want my stem cells. I want umbilical cord stem cells. My stem cells are useless at this point. Okay.
That's not.
No,
Technically,
it's not technically
it's
true.
just so the issue
There's
is
still benefits.
They can extract and then culture your stem cells, but they are nowhere near as effective as umbilical stem cells, and you have to get those in.
I think
And a lot of it is a technology and knowledge question, right? If you just want to, the knowledge that it requires to make the machines, operate the machines, and do various tests, you could bring a full medical checkup down to like $100 price point. It's just illegal, and we're talking about hospitals being flooded. What about the zoning around hospitals?
I think there's a cure for diabetes right now. I think there's probably a cure for cancer. Okay, I agree with you that stem cell research. I believe that there's so much money involved in curing.
A cure
these
for
diseases.
diabetes?
I think there probably is. I think that they've done it in monkeys already, recreating a pancreas that can secrete insulin. But why, Tim? Why do we not have the cure out there? Because there's so much money.
Curing the disease ends the business.
Yes.
Thank you. That's my point. So
Right.
I agree with you guys on that.
That's my point.
That's
is
the golden goose, right?
the problem of
right,
healthcare
right.
is not a Trump-centric problem.
Okay.
And Trump's failure to figure out how to solve it is not. It's like, well, I wish he could, I guess.
It's
So
also
bitch
like
about a problem for 9 years, but don't come up with any solution.
Well,
But it's
he-
also
he
not what
already
he
fired
ran on.
30%
What is your
of the
argument?
HHS staff.
My argument
Those are the
is-
bureaucrats making these
My
rules.
argument is you support a man
Who can't
for
figure out healthcare? Indeed.
but has been complaining about it for 9 years.
I've
It's
been
not
complaining about it for
it's
9 years,
not
and I
like-
can't solve it either.
You're not the president.
Solve it right now. Tell me. Come
I'm
on.
not the president either. You're comparing me to Donald Trump.
This is not a real argument. This is
not a real argument.
It's certainly not a real
So
argument.
complain about something as the president for
Yes,
9 years, but don't have any
indeed.
solutions, and you
Of
don't think that's a
course.
real argument.
Name every single president ever who complained about something and didn't solve the
Did
problem.
Obama come up with Obamacare? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
He worked with Congress on it. They
He
negotiated.
did. Why can't Donald Trump do that?
Well,
I thought
so-
he was the brilliant negotiator.
Did Obamacare work?
Again, that's
Do anything with Congress.
Oh, that one doesn't count, though.
never said it doesn't. count.
Obamacare fucked everything up.
Okay, so come up with a replacement that won't fuck everything up.
I'm not the president.
No, you're right, but you support the guy who can't come up with it.
Neither could Obama.
Obama had.
Oh,
his own
actually, this is a
solution.
really great. I'll make the argument. Obama fucked it up, and Trump saying, "I better not
don't
touch
disagree.
that."
I disagree with that. I don't think Obama, quote unquote, fucked it up. I don't
Oh, he
think
certainly fucked it up for me and my family.
Okay, you have a right to your opinion.
And I'm
okay?
pissed about it.
You
and
have
you know what? Trump saying I'm not going to touch it. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing.
So let's give tax breaks to the top 1%. That's a good solution.
That's not an argument.
No, it's not an argument. Let's.
You literally just changed the subject.
No, I'm
because
on
you're
the
not
same
making
He's
subject.
done it like 5 times.
That's
already.
all he keeps doing. It's not.
Brian pivoting. I told you he pivots. Constantly pivots. When he starts to lose an argument, he pivots to the next topic. He starts to lose again, pivots to the next topic. It's that's because he's not well versed on these issues. He has the top line, but he doesn't have any of the underlying defense of it.
Sequiturs.
He brought up the ballroom out of nowhere.
So he's
You
bad
don't-
about
you don't-
DHS.
We're talking about healthcare.
Uh-huh.
The guy who you support for 9 years have not come up with any solutions.
What
to
are you?
fix
This
our
doesn't
healthcare.
mean anything. You're saying nothing.
No, I'm saying
We
everything.
just agreed a
The guy-
solution is the bureaucracy. So what could Trump do more on that angle? You don't need Congress. You can just focus on the bureaucracy. What would you suggest that he do to eliminate certain regulations or change certain regulations?
What would I suggest that the president does? I'm okay with Obamacare. You're trying to paint me out as, Obamacare is horrible. It's terrible. I think it saved millions of American lives. I disagree
Why?
with you. For a lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
First of
how?
all, there are people that did not have access to health care that have access to it now. There's a lot of people that are on Medicaid right now that would never have access to it if not for Obamacare.
So let me ask you,
the
how
subsidies.
many people is that?
How many people what?
How many people is that?
How many people that he's helped? It's impossible to come up with an exact number.
How many people did he hurt?
Again, impossible to come up with
So
an
we'd
exact
actually,
number.
you actually don't know if it's good or bad.
I know it's helped me. I know it's helped my family.
Okay, so
I know it's
let's
helped-
just slow down.
Yeah.
You don't know the number of people it may have helped or it may have hurt.
So why is it bad? How many people have it hurt? Tell me.
So I just said it hurt me.
Okay.
And
it helped
and-
me.
Exactly. So if the predicate of the argument is
Yeah. Hurt
you
some
were-
people, help some people.
and we don't know the exact numbers, but you benefited from it, and I was hurt by it,
Sure.
then we'd actually don't have a strong position on Obamacare, which was kind of my point. Trump complaining about it but doing nothing, I'm kind of like, it's kind of a moot point to me because healthcare has been screwed up forever, continues to be screwed up.
So is
You
our
don't-
border.
you
Our
don't-
border's
you-
been screwed up forever too. Why don't you have the same approach to the border? You're saying-
because
yeah.
he shut down the illegal immigration?
Well, I'm just saying for decades.
Because it changed?
For decades, we've heard the argument, but yet for decades
What
we've had
argument?
undocumented immigrants coming into this country, whether it be George W. Bush or Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. We've heard from decades and decades and decades. Now we'll see how this plays out. Yeah, sure. There's not a lot of undocumented immigrants.
Now Trump.
Ronald Reagan made an agreement with the Democrats that if he gave amnesty to 4 million illegal immigrants, that they would work harder on shutting the border down. They lied. They didn't. So from that point on, because Ronald Reagan was out, and then I think we had Herbert Walker Bush, and then we had Clinton, and then we had George. Wait, no, wait. Yeah. Wait, no, we had Clinton. Wait, how did it go? I don't even remember. Anyways, through all those presidents, from Reagan to Trump, nothing was done on the border. The only person who actually put a stop to the border crossings is Trump. He's the one who shut the border down.
He's doing a
coming into
lot
this
about
country.
it.
Well, he's doing a lot about it. I think he's going
Great.
about it the wrong way. But at the same time, we could make
What
arguments.
should he do?
Well, do what they said they were going to do, and let's get the violent criminals
That's
out of this
false.
country first.
That is false.
At the RNC, they had
False.
signs that said mass deportations now. Mass.
Yeah, so this is another fake argument from the left.
What do you mean? Donald Trump said that.
The Trump
Tom Homan said it.
administration said that they were going to deport all of them.
Tom Homan said their top priority multiple times
Correct.
was going after
Indeed, it is.
Okay, so
and what's your
Why
argument
is
that it's
false? Because over 60% of the people that are being deported.
60% sounds like they're focused, doesn't it?
6 out of 10 have never committed a violent crime in their life.
You're
Right,
saying
so
6 out of 10 didn't.
what
but had
percentage of
violent
illegal immigrants are violent criminals?
What do you think prioritization means? Do you think it means doing all of them first and then the other ones after?
Here's my
or-
idea of what prioritization wouldn't be, what they're doing right now, which is going outside of courtrooms,
Mm-hmm.
people that are seeking asylum and tackling them and arresting them. That's not, to me, those aren't the people that we should be putting as a priority or sitting outside of Home
Okay,
Depot.
we got to
That
slow
doesn't
down
mean they're
because
using more
once again,
resources there.
so this is what I always find with people who are anti-Trump is you're making a lot of arguments that are not related to each other. You can
Talking about
so
immigration.
let's try this. I have prioritized the field mouse problem in this.
Exactly. Brian Shapiro has a habit of jumping around. And I guess in the debate world they call it gish galloping, where you just keep going on and on and on about some silly nonsense, but never tying it together to what the actual argument is. So basically, right here, Tim Pool's going to break it down.
Building. And I have told all of the staff here, my priority is the field mice. But one day Tate walks in and I caught a cricket. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing to the crickets? Why the fuck won't you stop the field mice? And I'm like, bro, we got the field mouse traps everywhere. You're just looking at the one instance where I've caught a cricket. Why are you mad at me?
There's also more crickets.
We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about immigration. What has Donald Trump in the last 9 years that has helped us when it comes to our healthcare?
You have no examples to prove they are not prioritizing violent criminals.
I just gave you the statistic.
No, you're telling me that they've gotten people who are not violent criminals, who perhaps are easier to apprehend.
No, they haven't gotten people, the majority of people that they've apprehended.
Because they're easier to apprehend. But does that mean they're not focused or prioritizing criminals? You're not making an argument.
So getting ICE agents to show up outside of courtrooms
is not a question of priority. It's a question of you saw a thing happen.
They said their priority. This is Tom Homan's own words.
Okay, how many agents are focused on narco gangs, cartels, etc.?
I don't have the numbers.
Exactly. You're not making an argument.
More people have been deported.
That's
that are
not
criminals.
related to what you're saying.
I figure the prioritization
I think
would be
you
around
lack the
tracking
cognitive
and
ability to connect the dots.
No, I think I do, and I think this comes down to...
Let's try this again. A priority doesn't mean the outcome is guaranteed.
I understand that.
So pointing out a bunch of nonviolent criminal aliens were arrested doesn't mean they're not prioritizing violent criminal aliens.
Okay, well, it doesn't appear to me that they are. And if
but
you
that's,
think that
again,
they are...
that's an opinion and not an argument.
Well, if you think that they are...
All right, you saw how Tim Pool dismantled Brian Shapiro over and over again. And he jumps into these debates without any... He knows the top line issue or the headline remark, but he doesn't understand the issue fully. So when Tim Pool tries to pin him down and draw out a argument to have a substantial debate, he cannot come up with one. Therefore, he's just flailing. And every time he flails, he pivots to the next topic. I don't know. This will be my last video on Brian, unless he does something, another debate or something where it's just too silly for me not to cover. But I chose to do the Tim Pool one so you can see exactly how he is when he's challenged. And it's not one of those sensational back and forth like he did with Alex Stein. It was, sensational. Sorry, I got a little tongue tied there. Sensational entertainment, argument, yelling fest, and ad hominem attacks. Again, thanks for hanging out. Glad you were here, and I will see you on the next video.